welcome to my podcast, Soul Expansion and Inspiration. This is Series 2, Episode 4, and my name is Allie O'Shea. Today, I would like to give a very warm welcome to Julie Wainer. Julie has recently become a Law of Attraction practitioner, and she is also a retired personal trainer. Very warm welcome to you, Julie. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Allie. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and to speak to everyone. It's really exciting.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you here and to meet you for the first time while we've known each other online. Obviously, we've never really met before today, so It's lovely to finally meet you.
Yeah, you too.
So whereabouts in the USA do you live?
I am in California. I'm in San Diego, so Southern California. For those of you that might not be familiar with the United States, I am in the furthest southwest portion. So we border Mexico and we're on the Pacific Ocean. So
beautiful.
The best climate. We've got really sunny days all year long. No real seasons, but no very light humidity. So it's a great climate. We're really happy to be here.
I want to move there.
Yeah.
That's perfect to me.
Yeah, it is. It's paradise.
Oh wow! Yeah. I didn't know that about where you live. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's nice.
You say that your journey started when one of your clients gave you an original copy, which is rare, of The Secret that included Esther Hicks in it, because of course they were removed from it, as we know.
Right.
Yeah. And you were hooked from then on.
I was.
Yeah. You say that you knew to the core of your being that this was truly what life was about. And you started studying all Abraham materials and started implementing their processes, of which they have many, of course.
Right.
And that your life did a 180-degree turn. So would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, ironically, and I'm sure we all are, but I was using the law of attraction and I was attracting things into my life before I even realized it. Even before this happened, I was in a really dead-end job about 15 years ago, and it was I was miserable. And a lady from work gave me a book by Joel Osteen at the time.
I love it
now. Yeah, and I did not grow up with any type of religion. I was always very spiritual, and my parents taught us, to be good people and taught us spiritually, but not any kind of organized religion. So I was a little apprehensive, just because I knew, this had some religious stuff to it. But when I read it, it really resonated with me. And I don't know if you're familiar with Joel Osteen, but he's law of attraction all the way. It's so funny how they kind of intertwine.
I absolutely love him. Yeah.
This book really gave me the confidence to get out of my job and get into personal training. And once I had gotten into personal training, I had this client who was probably 10 years younger than I was. And she was in her early 20s. And it was 2006. And we just kind of clicked from the get-go. She was very spiritual and just kind of her own free spirit. And I always admired her. She'd cut her hair off and then dye it purple. And, she was just, really cool girl. And we lived in Las Vegas. And Michael Bernard Beckwith was part of The Secret.
Sorry, you just froze there again. So sorry, just go from we lived in
Las Vegas.
Oh,
yeah. And she would go down to Los Angeles to a church called the Agape Center that was run by Michael Bernard Beckwith, who, if you're familiar with that name, he was in The Secret. Yeah. And so she told me, she says, you've got to get a hold of this DVD. So I ordered it and I watched it. And the first time I watched it, I was just hooked. it was like, it just spoke to me. Like I knew that this was what I was experiencing, not realizing what I was experiencing. Mm-hmm. And it gave me this peace and just this, that feeling in your stomach where you just know that this is where you're meant to be. And I watched it over and over again. And I ordered one for my best friend. I ordered one for my parents, and everybody just loved it. So it was kind of a ripple effect.
Really?
But Esther was the one that really resonated with me the most. So I just did some research on her, and in The Secret, it really doesn't talk about Abraham very much, or it does, and you don't really get it. And The Secret was so basic, and at the time, I think that's what society was ready for. Obviously, we've all kind of evolved law of attraction wise, but once I read, I obviously went and got Ask and It Is Given, and I read it, and then I really understood it, and I started getting her DVDs of the live events and that kind of stuff, and she's always just been really magical to me, and just always resonated with me in a big way.
Oh, I love her too. And that's one of my favorite books. I actually think that you don't need any other book of theirs. I think Ask and It Is Given is one of the best books. When I got it first, a friend of mine had told me to get it, and I got it, and I kind of read it, not really knowing who Abraham was at the time. And I remember reading the first, few pages and going, what the heck is this?
Right.
And I put it down, and I didn't take it back up for about 6 months until after I'd listened to some of their YouTube clips. And then I kind of finally got it, and I could go back to the book. But I mean, unbelievable. Their teachings are so amazing. And I think that they've helped so many people all over the universe that, that we're all really grateful for with their teachings.
We are. Yeah. It's been fantastic.
What is the one process? I know that in the back of their book, they've got, I think it's 21 processes that they give at the back of Ask and It's Given. So presumably that's the kind of processes that you're talking about, their focus wheel, or, how to move up the emotional scale, or, creating a vision box, I think they have, isn't it? Or something like
vision
that.
Board.
And different bits and pieces like that. So what process would you say that, if any of them, that stands out to you the most, that you've used in your life that has really helped you practically?
In the early days, I loved the ones that had to do with money. I loved, taking that extra $100 and putting it in your wallet and just walking through I can afford that. That was very helpful. I love vision boards, obviously, in the box that you mentioned. Those are really good.
Vision box, actually, that's what it is.
Yeah. So you just put stuff in there, and I think I have it probably behind me somewhere, my old one. But it's funny because and then just intentions. I love her story about like the bluegrass and the feathers. Yes. Butterflies. And so in the beginning, just intend it. You're going to go, get a cup of coffee today. Something's going to come into your life. You're going to find, a coin on the ground, and, those types of things. And all that really did for me was just build up my confidence, knowing that I really was creating my own reality. And, once I've kind of got steady on my feet, I've just kind of progressed onto other things. And, now it's really all about meditation for me, and, gratitude, but mainly the meditation is really what I'm doing today. That's been the most helpful.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Meditation is one of the top things that I talk to my clients about. I think, Abraham places such emphasis on meditation and how important it actually is. It's where we acquire inspired action from. And it's so important to connect with our inner being on a daily basis. And I think a lot of people still misunderstand that and don't really get it yet. So I think it's important to let people know how important meditation actually is, for sure.
Right. And I was always very apprehensive of it too. I felt like I wouldn't be able to do it. I felt like I wouldn't have the time. I felt like it was kind of a chore and just something kind of in the back of my head, like you have to do this, you have to do this. And then you get to the point where it's just your time and it's just fun. And it's not, but if it does become a chore, I tell my clients too, like, if it feels like a chore, don't do it that day. Like you gotta try, but if you just can't get there, just get up and walk away. Don't ever get frustrated with it. That's not what it's for. It's there, to help you. And it's it's more about self-care than, you don't want to add more stress to your life.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to the manifesting, the little things, I quite often would play the manifesting game with my in my groups, because it is like what you said, when you start off with the smaller things. So we would play, if you see a unicorn, ask to see something within the next 24 hours, a unicorn, some money, get a call from an old friend, or meet an old friend, and that kind of thing. And why that works is because it's like a game and you don't hold any resistance to it. So it becomes fun. And that's usually why it manifests for most people. And if we could just be more like that in our everyday life for the bigger things that we want, well, then we'd have it made.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I know that you're a massive Abraham Hicks fan, just like I am, and I went to visit them in 2017, as you probably know, in Los Angeles. And I didn't actually want to go in the hot seat because I didn't specifically have a question. But I know that you have been in the hot seat a couple of times, and I think I've actually heard all your interviews. I know I've heard the most recent ones, which you've very kindly sent me, which was so interesting to me. And because you're about the third or fourth person that I know that's been in the hot seat. So really exciting, because even though I didn't want to personally be in the hot seat, really exciting, I think, when somebody you know has wanted to be in the hot seat and had specific questions that they wanted answered. And it's lovely to hear those interviews. So would you like to tell everybody a little bit about your experiences in the hot seat?
Sure. So I've been to 5 events here in San Diego. She comes twice a year to San Diego, so we're very lucky. The first time I went with my best friend, and we just had it was very early again with Esther, and we weren't very familiar with it, and we just wanted to just be called on. We just had silly little questions, and so we raised our hand every single time. She didn't even come close to finding us at all. But what we did do for people that may be going to an event soon, I would recommend that you just relax, because it actually, by us raising our hand the whole time, we were so nervous about being called on next. We weren't paying attention to the person in the seat. And sometimes when somebody asks too many questions when they're sitting in the hot seat, it gets really frustrating when you want to be there. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, this person's taking up all their time, and you just kind of resentful, and it kind of ruins the day. So just relax and enjoy it. And if you don't get called on, you don't. So the second time and the third time that I went, I deliberately didn't raise my hand, and there was nothing pending going on. I didn't really care. And then the next time I went, I had a specific relationship question, and I raised my hand and got up there. And so there's this rug. She's on a rug and she's barefoot, and there's always the same kind of chair there. And so you sit down, and I was telling Allie earlier, I'm horrible at public speaking. I'm an introvert, and I'm very uncomfortable in that type of setting. But for some reason, I sat in that chair, and I was looking down, and I look up, and they put this microphone like right in your face, like it's right at your mouth. So it's just, you feel a little trapped. But I looked up, and I'd seen Esther so many times on video, with my DVDs and stuff. I was very familiar with her face, and, but I looked up, and her face looked so different to me. Her eyes, her pupils were very dilated. Her face just a little distorted, but beautiful. I mean, just like glowing. She looked so pretty. I mean, just gorgeous. And so I was a little taken aback by that. I was a little startled. And I asked my question. She answered it, and it was fine. It was very short. And she was going into segment of refreshment. So she just said, okay, now we're going into segment of refreshment. And she looks down, because she's channeling. She starts, like this, and then she looks down, and she looked back up, and you could tell she didn't know who I was. Like, you could tell that she doesn't know faces. She doesn't really know anything. And she came back into her body. Her eyes were right back to normal. Her face wasn't glowing. And it was like the person that I'd seen on DVD. It was totally normal again. So again, I was a little startled, but I went and I told that story, and unless you're talking to people that get it, you just sound like a weirdo, So it was, you have to tell the right people.
Yeah.
But she, it was incredible that time. And the second time, this last time in January, I decided last summer, I'm having some issues. My mom's ill, and I couldn't shake this. They're just answers I couldn't have, and I couldn't find, and I just felt like Abraham has to talk to me about this. So I told my friends, hey, Esther's coming in January, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go. And as time got closer, they hadn't gotten their tickets, and things were happening. And at the end, like in December, they're like, well, we're not gonna go. are you still going to go? And I said, I'm talking to Abraham. I'm going. Like, it was just so matter of fact to me.
Mm.
And I went, and again, that's not like me to go without anyone, but I did. And as I was leaving the house, my husband's like, you know, I know you're going to get in the hot seat. And I said, I'm getting in the hot seat first. And he's like, yeah, I know, that's fine. You know, great, have fun. And so we started, and I didn't get in the hot seat the first time, but we went to segment of refreshment early. So she had two men, segment of refreshment. And then I raised my hand. I raised my hand the other two times, but I raised my hand, and she was on the other side of the room looking the opposite direction. And I raised my hand, and it was the weirdest sensation because I raised it, and my hand was always up solid. It wasn't just like this, you know, but it felt like somebody took my hand and raised it just a little bit higher. And as that happened, her head turned around, her body she just totally turned around and looked right at me. And she says, you know, she called on me. And then when she does that, everybody stands up that's in the vicinity. You know, it's not just you, because everybody thinks she's calling on them.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, sit down. And I'm like, I'm not sitting down because I know it's me. I didn't bother to look behind me. I didn't and I just started walking up, and, you know, she shook her head in approval. But anyway, that was the most bizarre thing after the fact. Like I walked in there like I owned the place. Like, I was just so solid in my knowing that this was going to happen. Like, there was no doubt. And some people asked me after the fact, they're like, well, what if you hadn't been called on? And I'm like, I wasn't not going to get called on. Like, I can't even tell you how I knew, but I knew. And
Yeah.
if we as people could just know that, you know, in life, that's kind of what's happening all the time. When you get to that point where you just know something's going to happen, good or bad, it's going to happen. It just is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was amazing.
Yeah. And do you want to talk about how that interview, or not interview, what would you call it? Your questions and answers went with her, because it was a very specific question that you had about your mother, and I thought her answers were amazing for you.
You know, and it's funny because everybody says that. So when I was in the chair, I didn't feel like I was getting it answered. Like, I was kind of I was listening, and it wasn't specific enough to me in my head, because when you're there, you don't hear it. It's very strange.
It's very hard to absorb, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went and I sat back down in my chair, and I talked to the lady next to me, and we went into segment of refreshment after two more after me. And I talked to her, and I said, so this is what I heard. Is this what you heard? And she says, no, that's not what I heard at all. She says, I heard this. And I had strangers coming up to me during segment of refreshment and just said, you know, this is what you need to do with your mom. You're in the right place. You know, this is good. And so as I listen to it back all the time, I hear something different every single time. You know, I didn't realize I had so much, she said it, just resentment for the situation and guilt for the situation. And again, I just have to let my mother be on her journey. You know, that's kind of what I got from it. But my mom has been sick for a long time, and they're saying she could still have many years to go. And Esther just pretty much said, or Abraham said, you know, you don't know that. Don't trust that. You know, don't worry about that. Don't, you know, think that this is going to be an ongoing thing. So, and nothing's really changed with my mom, but my feelings and my guilt level has totally changed. You know, I don't feel nearly as guilty anymore. And the thoughts that I think are okay, you know? So yeah, it helped so much, helped a lot.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's so lovely to hear. And when I went to Abraham, I don't remember her not wearing shoes, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She says she just likes to be closer to the ground and just to stay grounded a little bit more. Yeah.
Makes sense, but I never noticed that. I also sat in the hot seat for a photo. Actually, a friend took it, so I don't have it, but or it's disappeared somewhere. But the hot seat vibrated. It's
something's just, it's magical. I mean, it's just magical.
But people don't talk about that. Because I sat in there and I went, oh my goodness, it's vibrating. Why don't people ever talk about that?
Well, I think when you're in the moment, and that, like I said, the microphone's coming at you and she's staring at you and the lights, maybe you're not as relaxed to feel it. like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? I felt at peace. The first time I felt just peace. The second time I just, like I said, I was so just solid in my being. Like I did, like it was very strange. Like I don't really even recall it. I just felt like I went from my chair and I'm there, and I don't even remember really walking up.
And do you have the video version of that now? Did you were you able to get a copy of the video version?
They don't offer the video version anymore. They only offer DVDs. I know. So no, I don't. I don't see myself on camera. I've heard it, obviously, but I don't have it on film.
Oh, that's such a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it the first time I did. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best thing that you've manifested in your life on purpose using the law of attraction deliberately?
Well, many things. Again, before I even knew about law of attraction, it's a very long story. I won't tell you, but I manifested my husband. So Allie, maybe one night we can talk about that. That's a crazy story. But since The Secret and law of attraction, I definitely manifested my job as an online coach. So I was able to transfer or, kind of transition from a personal trainer in a gym to where I can work at home, which is always something that I wanted to do. I always wanted to help people and that kind of thing, but make money from home. And I just thought, as a trainer, how is that ever going to be possible? But now with the in-home workouts, it's just, and again, it just came to me, and it came to me so fast. Yeah. Once I really, again, trusted in it. I manifested my car. I manifested moving from Vegas to San Diego. And so there's just been so many things along the way that have just happened, so.
Brilliant. Yeah. Tell me, did you like living in Vegas?
Vegas was super fun. I was there for 17 years. I actually grew up in San Diego and then moved to Vegas and came back. But it was super fun. It's nothing like, it's not like the Strip or anything. There's a real life,
Oh yeah, I know. Because I didn't actually stay on the Strip when we went there. And that was the beauty of it for us. Mm-hmm. We actually stayed in a house outside of, about 20 minutes outside of the Strip. So I got to experience Vegas as Vegas and not just the Strip.
Good. Yeah, it's a lovely town. It really is. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
I think it's got a lovely vibration to it. I think it's a real buzzy vibration. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
I'm excited. You say that you are a living testament to the law of attraction, that many things have happened to you over the years that were because of the law of attraction, but you didn't know at the time, as you've already just spoken about there. But that now you understand, you feel it's easy for you to help others understand too. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on this? How you're able to understand because of or how you're able to help other people, I should say, because of your understanding now.
Sure. I think my message is always to people, just relax and let it be, just really let life happen. And like you said earlier, it's kind of fun when you realize it's all kind of a game. And when you ask the universe to just kind of show you things and show you that the universe is there. And just when you start to really look around and, I always notice I love birds and butterflies, and everybody does. But I mean, there's just been so many times when, birds will just be like in my face, and just the things that aren't really supposed to happen are happening. And when I just laugh and I smile, and I know that's just the universe telling me that you're doing good, you're on the right track, everything's going well.
Yeah.
But then I like to play, like before I leave the house, I always just say, let's have some fun, universe, let's play, let's have some fun. And so when I get stuck behind a slow car or something like that, it's like, well, that's meant to be. Like, for whatever reason, the universe wants me here. Even though I might want to be up there, I'm here, and that's fine. And so I kind of tell my clients sometimes, just, when you're stuck in traffic or something's happening, I mean, maybe the universe is preventing you from walking into your office and dealing with the guy that drives you nuts. I mean, maybe the guy's gonna, is waiting there for you, and because you're going to be late, you're going to miss that.
Or from an accident that's up ahead. And
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you just have to trust that everything's working out, and it's working out the way it's supposed to be, and the way it's meant to be for you. And, people that are familiar with Abraham, your vortex it's there, and you just have to connect with it. You know, it's not, nothing's blocking you but you. You're the only thing that's blocking it. You know, no one's keeping you back from it. No one's taking it from you. It's your own doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. And have you got one other piece of advice that you would like to leave the listeners with?
I think, again, just gratitude. Just wake up every day and say thank you. And thank you for things that you don't necessarily have yet, but you know that are coming, or even that you want to come into your life. And, you know, if things feel too big to you, you know, your dreams or your goals, maybe they are a little too big right now. Maybe you're just not quite there yet. So just start with something small, you know, like we all did. We all started there, you know, like we said, the cup of coffee and stuff like that. But make your dreams, you know, just know that they're there, and you just have to kind of build up to them. And they should be a little scary, you know, a little, I shouldn't say scary, but they should give you your butterflies in your stomach and make you a little nervous, and, you know, but have fun with it, because it's going to happen, you know. So
yeah, it's like facing the fear and doing it anyway, challenging yourself each and every day to do something that maybe you've not done before. A bit like you going up to Abraham on your own, you know, and saying to us there, you know, while you were talking about it, that it's not something that you would have done in the past, but you felt compelled to do it. So it's facing that head on and going, no, I'm still going, even though my friends aren't going. I'm going to do this because it's something that I really want. And, you know, I think that's also a really good piece of advice for listeners, because it's about putting yourself out there, isn't it? And making the magic happen.
It is. Exactly. Yeah.
So what services do you provide, Julie, and where can people get in touch with you should they want to contact you?
Well, Facebook is always best. You know, private message me, send me a friend request. You know, I'm here. But fitness side, you know, I do one-on-one consultations, and I make sure you're set up with the right workout plan that's going to work for you, and nutrition plan. And then I do one-on-one coaching with all of those people as well. And that's kind of how some of my law of attraction stuff is kind of coming into place with them as well. So yeah, but Facebook is always best.
So you're incorporating your law of attraction work with your personal training.
I am. Yeah. And it's working very well. You know, it really is. People are really starting to understand that sometimes that people just get in their own way, and they don't have to do that.
Brilliant. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, Julie. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for sharing your stories with us. Absolutely fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. It was so nice to talk to you today.
My pleasure. So we'll say namaste to the listeners, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, Allie. Thank you.